Okay, so we are here to review the Madrid versus Bayern game very, very quickly. This is going to be a very brief video. We saw a very entertaining game yesterday. That game was absolutely entertaining. Um, the chances were created on both sides. When you look at the stats, it looks as if both teams had about 20 shots, each team having almost half of the shots on target. There were just chances all over the place, and it was entertaining. You see players dribbling, Olise having fun on the field. It was just absolute pure football. How did you see the game yesterday, Stana?
Well, it isn't every day, especially in these modern times, that you get to say a game was exciting to watch. Well, this wasn't anything to do with long ball, no low blocks, no parking the bus, nothing of that nonsense. This was pure entertaining football, transition against control, and then just attack after attack for both sides. It was end to end, and it was very exciting to watch. I think um, looking at the statistics of the game, 20 shots on goal from both sides, I wasn't surprised to see that number because we saw a lot of chances created in the game. And I think one major difference that I saw in the game was the one who was imposed for Real Madrid and the one who was imposed at the other end for Bayern Munich, who eventually made a difference at the end of the day, making 9 saves. That's a lot of saves, and I think I saw a stat that it was his most saves he's done in a game for maybe 5 years or 6 years. So it tells you that Manonoya had to be on top of his game, and that is what eventually pulled Bayern Munich over the line at the Santiago.
Yeah, the game was absolutely interesting. What I wanted to know from you is how did Bayern manage to quell the threat from Madrid when it comes to the transitional play? Because especially in the first half, in the first like 10-15 minutes, Madrid were not able to get out. They tried using the same approach they used against Manchester United, Manchester City very, very successfully. But you could feel that Bayern were very ready for it. They were absolutely on them. They didn't let them out in the first 15 minutes. So I think after that, that is when Madrid were able to get some counter-attacking threats going. How did Bayern really control Madrid counter-attack?
I think Bayern knew from the onset that Madrid would definitely be the strongest when it comes to a transitional phase of the game. And so I think what they really did well is they said in terms of their recovery, when Real Madrid broke on the counter and they're trying to transition against Bayern Munich side, very quickly the Bayern Munich lads ran very rapidly and make sure they were set in defense. And I think one other thing that helped Bayern Munich, which was a bit of a struggle for Real Madrid, is they were very predictable in transition because everybody knew their transition was always going down the left flank by Vinicius Junior, especially in the first half. So you would always notice that Upamecano would shift to the left hand side. So at times you would think Upamecano was the one playing as the right back, but it was because of they know the intention of that Madrid side always going down the left hand side. So it was very easy for Bayern Munich to set, and then they all drag across the pitch and then block that kind of space that Vinicius had. And so it always forced Vinicius to be taking long shots. They had to take something spectacular to beat Manonoya from that angle. So it wasn't clear cut chances even when they transitioned because Bayern Munich were able to set very well and then prevent Vinicius Junior from having a clear shot on goal. So that is how they were able to control the game. But in the second half, that is when it changed. He brought on Jude Bellingham for Thiago Pitash and then he brought on Brahim Diaz. So when Jude Bellingham came in the mix, that is where there was a bit of tired legs a little bit from the Bayern midfielders. And Jude Bellingham, one of his best attributes is his ball carry, his ability to carry the ball for long distances. So anytime he got the ball, see how powerful he is when he's carrying the ball across 20, 30 meters across the pitch. There was no Bayern Munich player who was able to catch him. And Bayern, Real Madrid benefited from that. They got a few chances from that, but Manolia stood tall. And again, because of how predictable they were in that first half, always going down the left-hand channel. In the second half, he brought on Brahim Diaz. So when he brought on Brahim Diaz, the attack became a bit more dynamic because it wasn't just Brahim Diaz on the right hand side. It was great interpositional play because if you look at the goal that Madrid scored, it's Brahim Diaz, Valverde, and then Trent making that blind side run. And then he received the ball at the back post, and then that cross that we know what Trent's ability is. He can do these kind of passes even in his sleep. And that is how he was able to find Kylian Mbappe at the back post for that equalizer for 2-1.
Yeah, I also noticed that in both the first half and the second half, Madrid were struggling on their left hand side. Carreras. Carreras was having a tough day. Not because he's not a good player, but I think because of the way the structure was for Madrid. They were doubling up on the right hand side where Trent is. So Luis Diaz didn't really get a lot of joy in terms of 1v1 success. But on the other side, Olise was just having joy.
A
He was
field
just
day.
enjoying
Yeah.
himself because it was too easy for him. Even in the first half, there were two occasions that I really remember where he got the ball, he just dropped his shoulder and went to the byline and tried to cross the ball. There were countless opportunities like that for Olise to just put the ball in a dangerous position. So how come Madrid weren't able to seal that side? Was it because Valverde was on the right side and was helping Trent out and he couldn't also move to that side? Or the presence of Vinny on that side, who is not really a player to track back because they were leaving him up front to try and engineer a transitional attack. So that is why they left themselves open on that left hand side. How did you see that play out?
I think it was a bit of too much trust being put on Carreras. He's your man, deal with him because we have to cover Trent on the other side. And if someone else is supposed to cover Trent on the other side, it means there will be a gap in midfield that someone else has to fill. So in that case, someone else also coming out to the right hand side to help Carreras, it will leave the midfield open because Vinicius isn't tracking back and Mbappe isn't tracking back. So it was a bit of a risk that they took. Okay, the left hand side or the right hand side, which one do we trust the most? Okay, it's Carreras. Okay, Carreras, we trust to deal with your man. But he wasn't able to do it. 1v1, he was being skinned alive. He had a very difficult task. And I think it was also because Ada Gule, who, Madrid were playing a diamond midfield with Mbappe and Vinicius up top. So Ada Gule was the one who was a little bit at the left hand side, who was supposed to help Carreras in that scenario. But he also really wasn't able to get back and help him and defend that 1v1 that Olise had with Carreras. And then he had a lot of joy from that. See the goal that Harry Kane scores. But I think one thing that you wouldn't really associate with this Bayern Munich side, but they do it a lot. That also happened yesterday was how much they thrive on transition. Bayern Munich controlled most of the possession, but the two goals that they scored are both from transition. They are both from winning the ball back high in the middle of the pitch. The first one was from Joshua Kimmich, winning the ball high. He gives it to Serge Gnabry, and they are able to carve Madrid open in the middle of the pitch. The second goal is also as a result of Pavlovic winning the ball back in midfield again, and then a straight pass to Michael Olise, and that is how he found Harry Kane at the edge of the box, and then that was a brilliant finish from Harry Kane. But for Real Madrid, that is I think the risk and reward that they wanted to do. So they just thought Carreras has been quite decent when it comes to his defensive capability. So we would rather protect Trent and then leave Carreras to do the 1v1. But that was a bit of an adoration of Michael Olise on their part to leave just Carreras to deal with him. He couldn't stay with him because we know if it was Lamine Yamal, they would have doubled up on him. But they left Carreras to deal with him 1v1, but that didn't really work at the end.
Yeah, it almost tells me that it is always difficult to double up on both sides because when you do that, what I think is it is going to create space in your middle, right? Because you have the players in the midfield always going to the wide areas to try and help and block spaces over there. What that means is that it leaves spaces in the middle.
Yeah.
So when they send the ball out wide and Olise is fast enough to recognize that there's space in the middle, he's going to bring it back to either Kimmich or Pavlovic. And they are
Yeah.
going to have tons of space to play the pass into. So I
Yes.
think it is very difficult to try and
And
double up. So
also,
if you face a team that has good wingers on both
yeah,
sides, it is
on both
very,
sides,
very
very
difficult to
difficult.
control them.
Very difficult. It means that your right back and left back have to be on top of their game for a lot of the minutes, a full 90 minutes. If they get a yellow card, you might have to take them off because it is very difficult for someone to come over and help and then be in the middle as well. Because just picture the two goals in picturing the two goals in my head. The first goal, there was a lot of space in the middle because as Michael Olise got the ball, the attention was there a little bit. The second goal as well, they thought Michael Olise was going to go to the bar line. So they followed him a little bit, leaving that sort of space for Harry Kane when he flipped it to Harry Kane, and then Harry Kane had a shot on goal. So it is very difficult when you have those types of players. And I think one other reason that went to the advantage of Bayern Munich was when Harry Kane dropped, it also meant that Luis Diaz was the one who was drifting inside. So that is why we didn't really see Luis Diaz having that sort of joy against Trent Alexander-Arnold in the latter stages of the game because they weren't even using the width on that side anymore. Because Harry Kane was dropping, and then they saw that they could use the right hand side. I think Bayern Munich probably could have taken the game away from Real Madrid. I think they slowed down a little bit at 2-0. They could have gone for the jugular and then gotten the third goal before they settled. But they thought at 2-0, this is the Santiago Bernabeu. Let's just slow down a little bit. Let's allow a bit of pressure and try and hit them on the break. But that is when we saw the changes from Jude Bellingham. Real Madrid got that effect in the game with their changes. But Bayern bringing on Musiala and Alfonso Davies, they couldn't affect the game. So the in-game from Arbeloa allowed Real Madrid to stay in the game. And now Real Madrid are still in the tie. So that would be very interesting to look at in the second leg.
Yeah, I'm very happy you made that very good point about Bayern using transitions as well, because yes, sometimes you can engineer transitions artificially, and that is what Bayern does. When they win the ball up high, they don't pass the ball sideways; they go forward. That
Vertical.
is very, very difficult to defend because
Yeah.
when a team loses the ball, immediately they lose the ball, they are very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that was a very good point. Let's talk about chances. The chance that was missed by Upamecano in that first 6 or so minutes. That was a crazy one. And
Crazy.
Bayern missed so many chances. Like you
Yeah.
said, they could have taken the game away from Madrid.
Yeah.
The whole tie could have been dead in maybe the first
Maybe
60
first.
minutes of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think Bayern missed so many chances. They missed so many chances. How is that going to affect them going forward in the second leg?
It could come back to bite them because this Real Madrid side, when the odds are against them, they always just seem to turn up. So the tie isn't done yet, and this could come back to bite them. But it's a bit unlucky on Bayern Munich's part because the ball just fell to the wrong person at the right place. Wrong person at the right place. It was just jittery. He couldn't believe he had got that chance. Hey, this is the chance that I have to score. Then he just messed it all up. He messed it all up. Then and then you would know, okay, this is a centre back. This is not a forward. And then I think there was another chance that Thiago Pitas gave away. And Thiago Pitas, I don't think he should have really started that game. But it's a bit difficult because Bellingham was coming back from injury. He also gave the ball away to Serge Gnabry. And then Serge Gnabry also couldn't convert. That was also another big chance. And if those two chances go in, that's 3-0. That's about first 20, 30 minutes of the game. And the game would have been done by then. But Madrid also came to the game. They also got chances. Manuel was pulling off incredible saves as well. So Bayern not being able to convert, because I thought they got the easier of the chances. Although both sides got majority of chances, Bayern got the easier ones, which they couldn't convert. It keeps the tie alive. And for neutrals, as I am, it makes me very happy to see that the tie is still alive going into the second leg at the Allianz Arena, which I'll be looking forward to.
Yeah, like you say, both teams had very good chances, even though Bayern, I think, edged it in terms of the high quality chances.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Upamecano again. He made a mistake that gave Vinicius Jr. a 1v1 with Neuer. In
Yeah.
that particular situation, I don't know whether to credit Neuer for pulling Vinicius wide or to criticize Vinny for not chipping him or not doing some tricks to try and take the goalkeeper out of the situation. How did you see that chance? Because that was a big chance. If that goal had gone in, then we probably would have ended the game with a different scoreline,
Yeah,
which might have been in favor of Madrid.
yeah, that's true. I think I would say it's 60-40. 60 for Manuel Neuer and 40 for Vinicius Junior missing the chance. And the reason why I go 60 is the way he opens up his body and closes the angle. And when that in that 1v1 situation, I've seen it so many times with Alisson Becker. Alisson Becker is one of the best goalkeepers when it comes to 1v1 closing the angle. He might not even need to make a save. He just needs to make you rush your shot and then close the angle well enough so that you don't get to hit the target. And that is exactly how Manuel Neuer did it. I mean, he's the best goalkeeper in the world, or probably in football history when it comes to his 1v1s, his sweeper goalkeeper things and stuff. He's been at the top of his game for a long time. And so I would really give majority of the credit to Manoria for closing the angle the way he did. And you see, when he came out of the goalpost, he didn't just come to maybe tackle or try and block the shot. He was on his feet. He was very agile in the lower body part. He didn't just come to go down so that Vinicius could chip the ball over him or probably side foot it. He was on his feet waiting for movement from Vinicius Junior, and then he would react to that. That is how he was able to close down. Vinicius Junior probably could have done better in that scenario. I would give majority of the credit to Manoria for closing that angle as well as he did.
Yeah, I think Bayern need to watch their defense. They really need to watch their defense. But it was excellent from Manuel Neuer trying doing what he did, because in previous games you would have thought Neuer would come out flying from his penalty area trying to win the ball, and that was going to be a disaster. But he really did well to stay put in his box. Okay, so the next leg, the return leg,
Yeah,
how do you see it playing out? Are you still confident that Bayern are going to qualify? Because I said Madrid are going to qualify.
yeah,
I'm a bit unsure right now whether Madrid will be able to go to the Allianz Arena with the way Bayern are playing and
yeah.
kick them out of the tournament. But what do you think?
I think I'll stick to Bayern qualifying, and the reason why I'm sticking to Bayern qualifying is I think um, when how the game happened in the first leg, if it continues, if we are to judge the second leg according to how the first leg ended, and it's end to end and it's a bloodbath, I think Bayern will edge Madrid again if it becomes like that, attack versus attack, because in the second leg it'll be a little bit on Real Madrid to come out more and play because they need to score goals now to win the tie. So it will make the game a lot more interesting than it probably was in the first leg. Because now they need to go and score some goals. So you leave them a bit exposed on the transition. And that is what I said. It looks a bit when we say transition, you might probably associate a transition with Real Madrid, but this Bayern Munich side, ruthless. I think they're even more cutting edge and more prolific when it comes to their transitions. Because Real Madrid had more transitions, but Bayern scored both goals from their few transitions that they did, and Real Madrid scored one from it. So it will make the game a bit back and forth, just like the first leg, maybe from the 60th minute to the 90th minute, where Real Madrid were 2 goals down and they knew they had to get a goal. It made the game a bit more expansive, a bit more open, and that is how the second leg is going to pan out. So that is why I think in the end, with the 1 goal advantage that Bayern Munich have now, playing at home in front of their fans and everything, I think Bayern at the end of the day will be going through to the next stage of the competition. They might not necessarily win the game, be a draw, a 2-2 draw, a 3-3 draw. I'm seeing goals, a lot of goals, but at the end of the day, I think Bayern Munich will edge Real Madrid into the semi-finals of the competition.
Yeah, I think that is a more likely outcome. To be fair, um, I saw Madrid pressing in the second half. I could never imagine Madrid playing a high pressing game, and
Yeah,
that is what they did in that second half. So Going to the Allianz Arena, I do think that Madrid are going to try and get the goal. So they are going to press and press high. And that could open up gaps and spaces for Bayern to exploit as well. So it is still a game in the balance, as you say. But before we end the video, let's talk about, we can't leave without talking about Vincent Kompany's outfit. I love his style.
Yeah,
He's not bothered about following the convention. He's not trying to be like anybody. He's being himself, and I absolutely love the way he dresses and shows up to games. It is just so refreshing to see.
yeah. I love it as well. I love it, and I think for a black man managing a top club like that, I always want those kind of people to do well. So it was great to see, and I love him in interviews, even when they lose games. Um, I really like to listen to him when they lose games. And I think they lost one game in the Bundesliga, and I listened to him in the way he builds perspective in when they lose games. Not he doesn't go too overboard when they win, and he isn't too down when they lose as well. So I think he gets the balance right, and it also helps in terms of how he coordinates the dressing room and the player management and those sort of things. So he's really done well how he has managed this Bayern Munich side into becoming a force in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. Even if he doesn't win the Champions League this season, going to Madrid and beating them at their home grounds
Yeah.
is a remarkable achievement. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Also, hype the video if you can. And comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you very much, Stana. We'll see you all later on. Bye.
Bye.